Good morning. I call the second day of our January board meeting to order. I think that's what I'm supposed to do. Let me double check my notes. Yes. Welcome to everybody in attendance and everybody listening online. We have all board members. Well, we have 9 present at the table. We have 1 present online. Therefore, we're all present. And we are moving on with the agenda that was approved yesterday. So we have before us Ms. Natalie Clark with our CTE program, and I will let her introduce all these lovely young people with her. I'm going to ask the board, before I let you start, I'm going to ask the board to write down your questions. We'll probably be pretty pressed for time, so we can stay on time to get over to lunch, and see if you can ask your questions during our lunch, if you would. We'll gauge that by how much time we have in the midst of this, but we get to hear from these lovely young people, so we want to make sure we get through all of that. I think that's about it. Okay. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you. Chair Hopkins, Commissioner Watson, board members, it's my privilege to stand before you today and introduce these young leaders that represent our 8 career and technical student organizations, state and nationally recognized. These young leaders have been elected, and they are peer leaders, state leaders. I'm going to let them introduce themselves, and they will step up to the microphone. I do want to point out that their bios are before you, as well as how each of the 8 career and technical student organizations did at their national competitive events. Thank you.
All right, good morning. I hope everyone's day has gotten off to a good start. Just as a little bit of an introduction, my name is Dayali Sanchez. I'm from Newton, and I am proudly the current Kansas BPA president. And as president, when I'm asked, how has Business Professionals of America prepared me for my post-secondary education, I don't first think about competitions or titles. I think about a mindset shift, one that BPA helped me make very early on. Before BPA, my mindset was very much, what am I supposed to do? I waited for instructions, I looked for checklists, but BPA has transformed that question to something far more powerful. What needs to be done? What more can I do? BPA has helped me transform, and as president, that shift has guided me in every decision that I've made and every idea that I've pitched to my team. BPA has also prepared me academically by pushing learning beyond the classroom. Through competitive events and conferences, I've learned how to think critically, communicate professionally, and adapt very quickly. It has helped me prepare for setbacks and reminder to not crumble under stress. It has also not only helped me push myself to be better, but it has just made me want to be better. It has created an environment where competition is encouraged and discomfort is a sign that you're learning and you're growing. And perhaps most importantly, BPA has helped shape me into who I'm becoming. I've learned that professionalism isn't just about interviews and shaking hands and talking about business. It's about integrity, work ethic, and how you respond when nobody is giving you instructions. As I move into my post-secondary education, I know that I do so confidently, not because I'm perfect or because I have all the answers, but because BPA has helped me ask better questions. Not only has BPA just prepared me for what comes next, it has fundamentally changed how I view things and how I approach every subject. And for that, I am very grateful and very proud to serve an organization that helps so many young lives improve into their college education. And I am very grateful and forever will be grateful for BPA. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Sonika Goniker. I am a junior at Blue Valley High School, and I am from BPA. I'm the vice president. My participation in my CTSO, Business Professionals of America, has had a meaningful impact on my secondary education experience, particularly through my role as a BPA state officer. Being involved in BPA has allowed me to grow beyond a local chapter and engage with a broader community of members, leaders, and professionals, shaping how I view leadership and professionalism and my future. My involvement in BPA began at the start of high school, when I was encouraged to take a business class by my dad and explore business-focused organizations. At the time, I didn't fully realize how impactful that decision would be. Though that initial exposure, I discovered strong interest in business and leadership, which ultimately led me to become more involved in BPA and pursue a state officer position. That decision opened the door to experiences that have greatly shaped my growth throughout high school. One of the most significant ways that BPA has impacted me is through the development of my communication and presentation skills. As a state officer, I have had many opportunities to represent the organization, write and deliver speeches, and communicate with members and advisors. These experiences helped me refine how I present myself, speak clearly, and maintain confidence in professional settings. Rather than introducing new skills, BPA strengthened skills I already had in me by placing me in environments that required consistency, responsibility, and professionalism. Serving as a state officer has also strengthened my ability to collaborate and build relationships. Work closely with fellow officers has taught me how to communicate effectively, respect different perspectives, and contribute to shared goals. Over time, I developed strong friendships and professional connections that emphasized the importance of teamwork, trust, and accountability within leadership roles. In addition, BPA has expanded my understanding of the business world and professional expectations. Through conferences, officer responsibilities, and interactions with members and professionals, I gained insight into how organizations operate and how leaders are expected to carry themselves. These experiences allowed me to develop skills such as networking, time management, and professional conduct, while also helping me better understand my career pathways. Overall, my participation in BPA has elevated my secondary education experience by providing leadership opportunities that challenged me to grow personally and professionally. The skills I have developed through serving as a BPA state officer, including communication, leadership, professionalism, and relationship building, will continue to influence my goals and growth well beyond high school. Thank you so much.
Good morning, guests and fellow CTSO officers. I would like to thank Commissioner Watson and Chair Hopkins and members of the board for the opportunity to speak this morning. My name is Mamse Drame, and I'm honored to serve as the current Kansas DECA state president. To be transparent, when I first joined DECA, my freshman year of high school, I wanted nothing to do with the organization. My older sister was a member of DECA all 4 years of high school, and as most younger siblings do, I followed in her footsteps. Apart from a strange acronym, all I really knew about this organization was how it prepared future leaders for their business careers. But this wasn't the career I was interested in. Like many students, I entered high school with a clear idea of my future. I wanted to pursue medicine. I envisioned myself in scrubs, focused on the complex field of healthcare, patient care, and clinical applications. Yet business was not a part of this picture. Yet DECA showed me how success depends on the skills we practice, the leadership we develop, and the responsibility we take as students, no matter the pathway. In 2022, more than 85,000 Kansas students enrolled in CTE courses across 16 clusters. CTSOs like DECA help students expand this classroom learning one step further by applying these skills in real-world and leadership-driven environments. My involvement in DECA has really transformed my understanding of what it means to be truly prepared. Competing in DECA, I analyze complex case studies, present solutions under pressure, and communicate clearly with industry professionals. My event-based project requires my team to evaluate a struggling business, identify why these struggles are there, and propose strategic improvements. While these situations focus on business scenarios, I gained the skills that are mirrored in healthcare situations as well, such as analyzing patients, ethical decision-making, and communication between providers and patients. These experiences are really what make CTSOs so special, as the experiences and abilities gained go beyond the intended fields and careers. Serving as Kansas DECA president has further strengthened that preparation, as I've connected with thousands of DECA members throughout my time. And that has taught me the importance of accountability and adaptability. Whether I'm facilitating state officer meetings, organizing initiatives to highlight Kansas members across the state, or representing student voices, I've learned how to lead with purpose. And standing here today is a direct result of those lessons. DECA empowered me to speak up, serve others, and lead responsibly. Qualities essential not only for college, but for quality active citizenship in Kansas. Because of DECA, I'm entering this next phase of my life confident, prepared, and committed. My future did not change, but it expanded. I'm entering college with a deeper understanding of communication, collaboration, and leadership. Thank you for your continued support of career and technical student organizations. Your investment ensures that Kansas students are not only college and career ready, but also ready to lead with purpose wherever their paths take them. Thank you so much.
Good morning, Chair Hopkins, Commissioner Watson, and members of the board. My name is Ajitesh Srivastav, and I'm a current high school senior at Wichita Collegiate School. As the Vice President of Kansas DECA for the 2025-2026 term, I'm here today to share with you my perspective on how DECA has impacted my secondary educational experience. To start, I want to highlight specific technical skills I've gained, and then discuss how this organization has expedited my personal growth. In my sophomore economics class, we spent an entire unit on entrepreneurship. We discussed different business models, how to write a formal business proposal, and the theory behind successful business pitches. But it was DECA that gave me the opportunity to actually apply this learning. Through competition, I didn't just study a business proposal. I had to actually write one from scratch and present it. This experience allowed me to apply my real-world markets research skills and writing skills in a real-world context. But perhaps more importantly, it gave me the opportunity to respond to thought-provoking questions from judges on the fly. Furthermore, these competitions have been a way for me to organically review and maintain economic terminology that I might have otherwise forgotten once the class was over. On a more personal level, DECA has shaped my voice in the most profound way. I used to be incredibly quiet and reserved, but DECA pulled me out of this comfort zone. It transformed public speaking from a source of anxiety into a genuine strength, allowing me to communicate today with the level of confidence I simply didn't have before. DECA has also completely reshaped my college and career trajectory by helping me bridge the gap between my two primary interests, engineering and entrepreneurship. Through DECA competitions, I've been able to express a depth of curiosity across a variety of business topics, and the role-play scenarios provide valuable interview experience that has already helped me in my college interviews. Additionally, serving as a state officer has allowed me to demonstrate leadership on a much larger scale than I ever could have through standard programs. Looking forward, DECA has helped me realize that the most powerful way I can use my technical skills is by solving real-world business problems. This has inspired me to start my own business that directly combines my technical skills with software engineering and my business strategy skills. So whether it's in a college interview or whether it's speaking with a future employer, I find myself constantly leaning on the soft skills I've gained through DECA, specifically articulation and the ability to think critically under pressure. Today is one of those days where I find myself incredibly grateful for the opportunity to have been a part of DECA. In summary, DECA hasn't just augmented my learning from school, it's provided me with a professional foundation to build upon. Thank you for your time today, and thank you for continuing to support organizations like this that allow students like me to grow into the professionals that we aspire to be. Thank you.
Although many people see Amy Poehler as a successful actress and comedian from SNL and Parks and Rec, many do not realize that her success is not based just on natural talent. She has stated many times her success stems from surrounding herself with individuals who fostered her growth, pushed her out of her comfort zone, and allowed her to gravitate towards supportive environments. This was her collaborative journey through the relationships she built along the way. Hi, I'm Chloe Johnson. I'm a senior at Pleasant Ridge High School, and I currently serve as the Kansas FBLA president and last year served as the state public relations officer. I am here to tell you how FBLA has positively influenced my high school experiences and helped me begin my own personal collaborative journey. Through FBLA, I have had the opportunity to travel beyond Easton, Kansas, including Atlanta, Anaheim, Dallas, Orlando, Oklahoma City, and hopefully San Antonio this summer. I have also met many amazing people, whether they were peers from across the United States, advisors, or business professionals. Each person played a part in developing my knowledge, communication, leadership skills, and confidence. As a freshman, when I was introduced to FBLA, it was exciting to try something new, but also a bit intimidating. However, by surrounding myself with amazing members and positive advisors, my life began to change. The next year, I knew I wanted to impact others within FBLA by providing opportunities that would allow them to develop their social skills, build relationships, strengthen communication and leadership skills, all while learning and having fun, like I had once done. My sophomore year, I became the Kansas FBLA Public Relations Officer. I still had a lot to learn, but by surrounding myself with a strong state officer team, I gained tremendous amounts of confidence in my abilities and what I had to offer. I was giving speeches, making presentations, developing opportunities, all while learning and having fun. As a junior, I realized I could serve as a mentor to a new young officer team while making a difference to members around Kansas. I ran for my current position of Kansas FBLA president, which required a lot of time and effort and ability to overcome challenges, but it is a decision I have never regretted. FBLA has taught me how to represent myself, my school, and state in a positive manner. The lessons and skills I have learned through FBLA have carried over into my classes and my life in general. I am currently pursuing a career in nursing, whether it be communicating with patients, making ethical decisions, or problem solving with everyday scenarios. FBLA has helped to successfully prepare me for my journey beyond high school. FBLA has prepared me through competitions, interviews, presentations, networking, problem solving, and leading ethically for my next chapter in life. I will continue to take the advice of Amy Poehler. Find a group of people who challenge and inspire you. Spend a lot of time with them, and it will change your life forever. And that is exactly what FBLA has done for me in my collaborative journey. I am truly grateful I joined this amazing CTSO and how it has shaped my high school experience. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Kendra Conrad. I attend Wabunsee High School. FCCLA has played a major role in preparing me for my post-secondary experience by equipping me with skills that extend far beyond high school. Through leadership opportunities and competitive events, I gained experience that mirrors expectations in college and future careers. I'm sorry, I was sick last week, so my throat's a little tight. One of the biggest ways FCCLA prepared me is through time management and responsibility. Balancing FCCLA commitments alongside academics and athletics taught me how to prioritize tasks, meet deadlines, and stay organized, skills that are essential for success in post-secondary education. FCCLA also strengthened my professional skills. From writing project summaries to presenting in front of judges, I learned how to communicate clearly, professionally, and confidently. These experiences have prepared me for college, presentations, interviews, and collaborative work environments. Additionally, FCCLA helped me develop critical thinking and problem-solving skills. Many FCCLA projects required researching real-world issues, analyzing information, and proposing solutions. This directly prepares me for post-secondary coursework, where independent thinking and application of knowledge are key. Perhaps most importantly, FCCLA helped me discover my passions and career interests. By connecting leadership, service, and education, FCCLA helped me understand what I want to pursue after high school and gave me confidence in that path. I am entering my post-secondary experience not only academically prepared, but personally prepared with leadership skills, self-discipline, and a strong sense of purpose. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Madison Lawson. I'm from Jackson Heights High School. I'm the first vice president of FCCLA. FCCLA has played a major role in preparing me for my post-secondary experience by equipping me with skills that extend far beyond high school. Through leadership opportunities in competitive events, I gained experience that mirrors expectations in college and future careers. One of the biggest ways FCCLA has prepared me is through time management and responsibility. Balancing FCCLA commitments alongside academics and athletics taught me how to prioritize tasks, meet deadlines, and stay organized, skills that are essential for success in post-secondary education. FCCLA also strengthened my professional skills. From writing project summaries to presenting in front of judges, I learned how to communicate clearly, professionally, and confidently. These experiences have prepared me for college, presentations, interviews, and collaborative work environments. Additionally, FCCLA helped me develop critical thinking and problem-solving skills. Many FCCLA projects required researching real-world issues and analyzing information and proposing solutions. This directly prepares me for post-secondary coursework where independent thinking and application of knowledge are key. Perhaps most importantly, FCCLA helped me discover my passions and my career interests. So after high school, I would like to become a psychiatrist. And by connecting leadership, service, and education, FCCLA helped me understand what I want to pursue after high school and gave me the confidence in my path. I am entering my post-secondary experience not only academically prepared, but personally prepared with leadership skills, self-discipline, and a strong sense of purpose. Thank you very much.
Good morning. Oh, I gotta get this microphone correct. My name is Riley Sturgis. I'm from the Riverton FFA chapter, and I currently serve as the Southeast District FFA president. I want you to imagine a high school freshman who's quiet, shy, and overall doesn't do much outside of school, simply repeating the same cycle between school and home. See, just 4 years ago, that freshman was me. I'd go to school, go home, play video games, and do the same thing over the next day. That was until my sister encouraged me to join FFA. Without it, I would have missed out on amazing experiences that came from my CTE and CTSO, whether it was within my classroom, my SAE, or even FFA as a whole. For example, just last year, during what some say is the hardest year in high school, I had the opportunity to be in my school's animal science class, which meant that every other week, my ag teacher took us off-site where we were raising 6 piglets to donate to a local food bank. It wasn't all easy, especially when one of my classmates let about 3 free into the cornfield. While experiences like this may seem ordinary for agricultural education, they are extraordinarily impactful. This impact occurs in my SAE, or Supervised Agricultural Experience. My SAE is an unpaid beef placement. While I may not be getting paid, I'm still gaining something much more valuable than money. As it's embarrassing to say, I had never driven any motor vehicle prior to my SAE. Yet, the very first day on the farm, that was the first thing we did. Of course, I was beyond horrible at it, taking multiple point turns on the tractor and almost flipping a side-by-side. However, if I didn't take a step outside my comfort zone there, my driving skills would be far different today. Finally, my experience in FFA. Luckily enough, I was fortunate in my freshman year to attend the National FFA Convention and Expo, which allowed me to witness for the first time what FFA is all about. See, each member there had a jacket just like mine, with their name embroidered all the same. So for a shy, quiet freshman, starting a conversation with a stranger is much easier when you already know their name. So that meant being involved in FFA, the largest student-led organization in the nation, with over 1 million members across the country. There are 1 million jackets with 1 million names on them, with 1 million people that I could easily walk up to and start a conversation with. Over the last 4 years, FFA has drastically improved my life. Without it, I don't think high school would be something that I look back on so fondly. FFA didn't just get me engaged in their organization. It made me take a step outside of my comfort zone and become more involved within my high school as a whole. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Lizzie Viner. I am a senior at Hayes High School, and I currently serve as the Northwest District FFA president. Passions, We all have passions or inspirations, or we wouldn't be in this room sharing our educational experiences, striving to make education experiences better for students, or sharing about the CTSOs and organizations that we love. For me, passions become really easy, whether it's photography or just simply talking to people, and so did agriculture. From a young age, I grew up on a farm, so it was simply just a part of my life. However, it wasn't until I stepped into the freshman intro to ag class where I knew that I wanted to be part of FFA as well as keep the agriculture industry in my future. From FFA, I have been able to serve as a chapter officer as well as a district officer and share what FFA can do for other members, as well as share what it's done for me as a leader, how it's given me a confident voice, and share what contests I love and what activities I could promote to other members. I've also seen this exact same success in the classroom. My friend Macy, throughout high school, could not decide what career she wanted to go into. She went from interior design to maybe kindergarten teacher, and then I think it went back to marine biologist. But it wasn't until we stepped into our horticulture class junior year that she discovered her love for hands-on floriculture and has helped her discover a path in horticulture major for her future career plans. As well as Landon Betts, a member from the Lakeside FFA chapter, he was able to take his SAE, which is the Supervised Agriculture Experience, and service learning, and he was able to start and develop a swine spring show for not only his chapter, but livestock showers, as well as share his passion for the swine industry with his chapter. And ultimately, at the end of the day, he was able to raise fundraisers and money for his students and the members of his chapter. Through this experience of his SAE, he was able to gain so much in himself. He was able to make himself a better person and develop and talk to sponsors in his community and get the community involved in something, as well as he was able to share his passion and helped him decide that he wanted to go down the animal science route in his future. Wherever FFA and these CTSOs take us, I believe that it gives us the hands-on experience and the creation and support to go on further, whether it was helping find a major or a career path. I believe that it helps us become a better individual as well as a high-quality person for not only our career, but ourselves. Through FFA and CTSOs, these are not just organizations that give a career list to their students and individuals. They help provide hands-on experience. They give us the support of the teachers to help create those passions into some kind of a project or a future goal. And I also believe that they help us become driven individuals. For myself, it has helped me understand that in the future, I want to be in the agriculture industry and have a major through agriculture communications and agriculture sales. It has also shared with me that I want to help support these members whenever I can and help these organizations and CTSOs grow in the future. I believe that we all have passions and inspirations in our life. However, I think it's the organizations, the administrations of our schools, the teachers that are behind us supporting us that help make our passions into realities. I believe that FFA and other CTSOs are helping give students a voice, helping them feel confident in themselves and their skills, and helping them create a path and look at different careers for their future, helping create those passions into reality. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Shivani Hepser, and I'm the current Kansas HOSA president from Wichita Collegiate. Now, Kansas HOSA is an organization meant to empower individuals and students for their future in healthcare. Now, that includes providing them with a platform of opportunities. This year, I'm competing in an event called Community Awareness, in which a student or a group of students bring awareness to an issue, a challenge, or a problem in their health community. Now, my team and I have identified our issue already: rural healthcare accessibility, because many people in Kansas miss or delay their primary care appointments because of transportation and distance issues. Now, using Instagram and Facebook and all these social media pages, we have been able to bring awareness to this issue. But we want to do more. We want to create a solution to this issue. And through HOSA, I've been able to make so many connections with health leaders, with local city council, and with so much more, allowing me to not only learn more about these issues, but also slowly develop a solution with my team. So in short, HOSA is a platform meant for students to build opportunities and learn more about their future healthcare professions. They can build skills and they can create projects that can better impact their community. Our HOSA chapters across Kansas have developed many service projects and are submitting them to a program that we have within HOSA. And we get to learn more about what service initiatives that students have taken and they are going to continue to do. So HOSA is a platform, like many others and all these other student organizations, that are meant to give opportunities to students, and we are grateful for your support to continue them. Thank you.
Hi, good morning. My name is Amber Patel, and I'm from the University of Kansas and the current Kansas HOSA Vice President. Unlike many of the students here today, I actually am a post-secondary member, so I have firsthand experience on how my experiences in HOSA and other CTSOs throughout my high school career impact me to this day. The first thing I can think of in HOSA and other CTSOs is leadership. We all know we start out in this organization as a freshman, a sophomore. We slowly start getting into our competitive events, seeing what the organization has to offer, and then eventually we run for local leadership. I was the chapter officer. I was my chapter's president in high school, and then we ran for state office. We become national officers later on. But those experiences, whether it's organizing a blood drive with a team of 10, organizing a volunteer project with a team of 50, or a conference with over 2,000 people, provide skills that we use to this day. If I went to any campus organization at KU, the board immediately would have some sort of CTSO experience. The experiences that we had in high school in our organizations provide us with leadership, dedication, communication, and confidence that you can't find in a regular classroom. Along with those leadership abilities, HOSA has provided us with connections that continuously affect what I choose to do in my future studies. As a sophomore, freshman in high school, I didn't know what healthcare field I wanted to be in. I went up to my local advisor and I told him, I'm interested in the mental health field. What can I do? How can I explore it? And he found out through HOSA, through research, we went to a local mental health center and we created the connection that allowed me to shadow psychologists, therapists, and a psychiatrist for over a semester. From that experience, from their guidance, their recommendations, and their advice, I was able to take the clinical psychology program here at KU. I know from my high school experiences in the past few years, they affect me to this day and will continuously do so for the next few years. Thank you so much for your support of CTSOs.
Good morning, members of the board. My name is Kaden Yang. I'm from Wichita East High School, and I'm a proud member of Skills USA. Skills USA is more than about competitions and titles. It's about developing real-world skills and real-world experiences. One project that truly showed me the power of Skills USA's framework was building a chicken coop for our local school. What I thought would be a simple hands-on activity quickly turned to a meaningful lesson in adaptability, communication, and leadership. From the very beginning, adaptability and flexibility were required. We started the project missing lumber and unsure of how to build the roof. Instead of stopping, we adjusted our plan and focused on what we could do in the moment. We divided into groups, worked on multiple tasks at once, and adapted as new problems arose. Later, we arrived at the school to assemble a coop, but the weather would not cooperate with us. It began raining slowly, our progress, and forcing us to rethink how to work safely and efficiently. Rather than giving up, we reevaluated our plans and continued working where it was possible. This experience has taught me that perseverance, not perfection, is the key to success. Communication also played a crucial role throughout the project. We communicated constantly with each other, advisors, school, and even the local news network.
Being interviewed live pushed me out of my comfort zone and strengthened my public speaking skills, allowing me to represent Skills USA and explaining how our project positively impacted the community. Strong communication within our team helped us to stay organized, meet deadlines, and hold each other accountable. Leadership and teamwork were essential to our success. We checked in with one another, assigning roles based on individual strength, and kept each other motivated. We realized that extra time was needed to finishing the project. We committed to returning after school to complete it. By supporting one another, staying focused on our shared goal, we did not only complete the project, but we became a stronger Skills USA chapter. The project helped me to grow as a leader by increasing my confidence, responsibility, and professionalism. It taught me the importance of community, adaptability, and teamwork skills. It extended beyond this project. The Skills USA framework guided my growth throughout the whole experience. They are not skills now that I just practice. They are values that will hold and continue to guide me throughout my year as an officer and in my future career as an engineer. Thank you for your time.
Hello, I am MJ Ashen. I'm from Lebec County High School, and I am the state vice president of Skills USA Kansas. At the beginning of my freshman year of high school, I was an extremely shy and timid person. I preferred to stay quiet and keep to myself rather than engage with people that I did not know. The idea of speaking in front of a group of people or even introducing myself made me anxious. While I admired those who could easily talk to anyone and take charge in a crowd, I never imagined I would be that person. Early that year, I had an advisor who pushed me to get more involved and challenged me to step outside of my comfort zone. At first, it was uncomfortable and intimidating, but I trusted his encouragement. Slowly, I began to grow, and I began to come out of my shell. I began participating more, sharing my ideas, and speaking up during meetings. Although these steps felt small at the time, they marked the beginning of a major transformation in my confidence and communication skills. In my junior year, when I heard about the opportunity to run for a state office at the Fall Leadership Conference, something inside me told me to take that chance. Even though fear and doubt kept creeping in, I did not choose to let them stop me. Skills USA continued to push me to grow in ways I never thought possible. The organization gave me countless opportunities to communicate, collaborate, and lead. Through this career and technical organization, I was able to attend the National Skills USA Conference in Atlanta, Georgia, as a delegate and a state officer, and I was even given the opportunity to go to Washington, D.C. to attend the Washington Leadership Training Institute, where I was able to get my National Statesman Award. Through these opportunities and countless others, I learned how to communicate clearly, collaborate with others, and lead with a purpose. I met people from different schools and backgrounds, and I learned how to connect with them, exchange ideas, and work together as a team. Over time, I found myself enjoying these conversations that once would have made me nervous. Through these experiences, I realized that leadership was not about being the loudest voice in the room. Instead, it was about listening, connecting, and encouraging others to shine as well. Looking back now, I barely recognize the timid freshman I once was. Not only did Skills USA help me find my voice, it taught me how to use confidence and communication effectively. As I pursue future careers, the skills I have gained through Skills USA will be invaluable. Working in live entertainment, which I hope to pursue, will require strong communication, teamwork, problem solving, and the ability to perform under pressure. All skills that Skills USA has helped me develop. No matter what I am doing, I know that the leadership and professional skills I gained will help me succeed. I will carry these lessons into my future workplace, confident in my ability to grow, lead, and inspire others. I look forward to every new challenge as an opportunity to continue learning, growing, and becoming the best version of myself while inspiring others to do the same. Thank you.
Learning to lead in a technical world is what members of the Technology Student Association, or TSA, strive to do. Good morning. My name is Annabella Spear, President of Kansas TSA. TSA is one of the 8 nationally recognized career and technical student organizations. Through TSA, members compete in a variety of STEM-based competitions to prepare them for their futures in many fields. My high school thankfully offers many engineering courses to help me pursue my future career as I hope to go into nuclear engineering. And in these classes, we spend our time laughing as we fix our projects and give presentations to our teachers, many of whom we are quite close with. While this fosters a great amount of learning, it does not quite mimic the professional environment as high schoolers will soon be entering. TSA interviews push us to present our most professional selves along with all our knowledge. TSA has also helped my confidence grow exponentially. If you had told me when I first joined in 7th grade that I were to stand up here and do this, I probably would have cried. But now I am here, and TSA has prepared me for the next chapter of my life, college. When I was a freshman, I was absolutely terrified that college would be overwhelming and I might just die the first day. But now I feel ready and know that I will be okay. TSA has also introduced me to plenty of people I would not have met otherwise. As of right now, I plan to go to college out of state, which means I won't see the high schoolers that I'm currently close with. But TSA has taught me how to greet and meet new people in many, many places. And I will use these skills to make friends wherever I go. In fact, on a recent campus visit in Wisconsin, I was able to meet up with someone who I met at the TSA National Conference, and he gave me more insight into the campus and its opportunities. Overall, I am entirely grateful for TSA for the impact it has had on my life and how it will continue to impact me. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Toby, and I am the Vice President of Kansas TSA. I'm currently a junior at Basler Linwood High School. In my 7th grade year, one of my good friends, Lane Lamping, suggested that I should join TSA. That decision has significantly altered the path that I've taken throughout high school. TSA has helped me learn that I have a passion for engineering and technology, and it has taught me how to be a leader among my peers and learn what I want to outside of a classroom setting. My first year, I participated in one of our events titled Inventions and Innovations. That year, our prompt and goal was to create a machine that would assist the elderly with repetitive tasks. That year, my team decided to build a machine that would butter bread. Well, at the time, I thought it was a little silly. Building that machine taught me that I had a love for robotics. TSA has also shown me what it means to be a good leader. My second year of TSA, I ran and was elected president of my middle school chapter. At that point, I was a quiet kid who kept mostly to myself. Back then, or even really 1 or 2 years ago, I would have never imagined myself standing right here, giving this speech. However, running for state office has shown me that public speaking is a necessary skill. Today, throughout all the things that TSA has taught me, I'm able to teach myself things that I want to on my own time. For example, I have a passion for programming, but I have never had any formal education on the subject. But through the power of the internet and a little determination, I've been able to teach myself how to use it in real-world scenarios. For example, I created a software that my high school theater department uses for our interdepartmental communications. I'm grateful for my time in TSA, as it has shown me and taught me these skills that I will continue to use throughout the rest of my high school career, as well as wherever life takes me afterwards. Thank you.
So I'd like to thank the leaders behind me that are leading their peers in our 8 state-supported career and technical student organizations. I'd like to thank their families, their communities, the business and industry, their educators in the classroom, as these are intracurricular organizations, and their state CTSO advisors. Appreciate your time today, and we look forward to spending more time with you.
The clock is kind, so
Okay.
we have some time. So board members, if you've got some questions you took note of, please put your name on the screen. Betty?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good morning to all of you. Thank you all for such an amazing presentation. As I listened to each one of you and kind of gleaned into your personality, how you're driven, I sat here and my chest could have just burst open with pride. I am so incredibly proud of you. But there was one thing, Riley, that you said that I kind of want to talk to the board members about, because it's amazing where we find solutions. You talked about going home with your game, whatever, and coming to school and going. That's something that we are dealing with. technology. And the solution that you presented is so simple. When you found that there was something else to replace that could capture your interest, you were in. And that's a reminder to us that we can't pass rules or regulations denying you access to technology. We can offer you a positive alternative to that. And then, let me take a look here, because the last, Toby, when you were talking about what you did with technology, how you were able to teach yourself and embrace that, I mean, you are giving us the necessary information to make some wise decisions. Because there are many that say, well, block technology. But you are a representation of what that can do if given the opportunity with some guidance and in the right hands. So thank each one of you. I'm so proud of all of you. And if I could just do a group hug, I would. But I'm so glad you were here today. Thank you.
We definitely look forward to this. Board members, anybody else? Oh, come on, Melanie. I know you got something.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I mean, I've always got something. I'm just so impressed with your speaking ability. Recognizing, I love a couple of you painted the picture of what does it look like to come in as kind of a quiet freshman and then figure out, how do I turn into and stretch myself to do this thing that's incredibly difficult. Do any of you have like a short, like a pointed story about maybe how you have been able to use speech in your everyday or?
Yeah, make sure you come to the mic if you've got something for us.
And I don't mean to put you on the spot, and you don't have to come up at all if you don't. I see a hand down there.
Yeah, jump in line.
Sometimes we're called on to do crazy things like run for office. So I just love to hear your stories.
So for the public speaking aspect, for me, I really believe that it's helped me at my job site. So I started out, I think it was freshman year, as a secretary at a turf management business. So doing applications, I just sat there and basically filled out the tickets. I was not comfortable with talking to customers. I didn't know how to answer questions. I didn't feel confident myself. So I was always like, I'll take the message down. I'll write the note for the boss or the head secretary at the time. And then throughout FFA, I was able to build my public speaking. And I've also been in other CTSOs as well as like DECA and FCCLA. And through those, I believe that it helped me become confident in myself to help and communicate and be an active communicator in my business work. So through that, I was able to, now I'm the communications secretary at the business. And through that, I just send the emails. I do the communication through the text app. I schedule the areas in Hayes and the Ellis County areas. So through that, I'm the one that is the first communication with those customers. I'm the one that's dealing with the complaints or answering the very odd questions sometimes about what their grass looks like. But through it all, I was able to become confident myself in my communication to represent a business. So for me, that's really impactful.
Nice. Yes.
I have two examples of how it's helped in my everyday life. So Wabunsee, if you know, is a very small school full of a lot of students that are too cool for the public speaking aspect or the conferences and all of that. So FCCLA, my freshman year, I was a little bit crazy. I was the student that was always like, blah. I don't know. That's the best way to describe it. But now I'm the student that when they need somebody to come up and talk in front of the school, I'm the one they ask. Like just on Monday, we had a school ceremony type of thing, I guess, where we were trying to show the students that we need to get our community involved because we're trying to pass a bond currently at Wabunsee. And we were trying to show them that their voice matters to our community. And I'm the one they called up there, and I just kind of had to wing it. And I would not have been able to do that without FCCLA. The second example is I'm actually going to go cheer post-secondary at Sterling College.
Oh, nice.
The coach had texted me, and if she would have texted me 8th grade or freshman year, that girl would not have been confident enough to answer and be like, yeah, I do want to go do that. I would have said, no, I'm not good enough. Now I have confidence in myself, and I'm going to pursue something I love 2 hours away from home where I don't know anybody, which I probably would have cried, like she said earlier. You told me that before. So FCCLA has just helped me find the confidence to speak and do what I love.
Nice, both of you. Thank you.
I also do have a few examples to add on to what was said earlier. I think what's incredible about CTSOs is how the students involved are not only committed to the current ones that we're in, but I think a lot of us also have other responsibilities in school as well. I know that I joined a ton of clubs my freshman year, and as I kind of progressed through high school, my participation has increased in those clubs and organizations because of my involvement in DECA. I think that public speaking gives you not only the ability to speak in front of large crowds or people who are above you, but also your peers as well. And I think that public speaking really gives you that ability to not be afraid to speak your voice and speak your truth, but also that ability to acknowledge that what you might say may be wrong. And I think public speaking really opens that possibility for open dialogue between peers and people around you. So I've definitely seen an increase in my involvement. I've been able to start my own club at school and facilitate meetings with my team members. As that example earlier about speaking in front of schools, I was in the diversity council at my school. And like I said, I was just a member there where I provided my input at our private meetings. But since then, I've been able to facilitate 2 school-wide diversity assemblies. So I think public speaking really allows me that chance for open dialogue with my peers. And I think this also translates to my other example of classrooms as well. I think a lot of us have had experiences where teachers are like, who has the answer to this? And no one is really willing to raise their hand, especially if you might not know the answer. But I really have seen that through my involvement in DECA, I have been more open and more responsive to answer these questions in class. And sometimes my classmates will tell me, Mom, so you need to stop responding, like give other people a chance. But I've been more willing to even say the wrong answer sometimes, even if I'm not sure what I'm going to say, because I think that raising my hand first and even just opening that dialogue with my teachers will hopefully encourage other students to speak up as well. So I've definitely seen an increase in my success in school, whether it's actual academics and also through my organizations.
Nice, thank you. Jim?
Thank you. I really don't have a question. We hear all the time about how schools are failing, and your examples that they're not. And we really appreciate that. I wish everybody in Kansas, or actually everybody in the United States or world, could hear you, because you are so impressive, and you are an example of the best. And there are hundreds and thousands of others just like you that are going to be very successful because of your experience. The schools are not failing, and you are proof that schools are not failing. I only have one observation, and that's to you, Toby. As always, the oldest person in the room, I really appreciate when people are doing things for the elderly.
Well, thank you so much. I wrote down the words mindset shift, and I think it really encompasses all of you, really, in everything that you've said. All of it has to start with the shifting of what you're thinking, what you believe about yourself, right? So that you can move forward. So thank you. And Lizzie, I have to say it. You have to tell your dad hi for me, okay? We're so thrilled to have you. And this is one of our favorite things that we have before us all year long. So we're excited to see you for lunch here in a couple of hours. So thank you so much. You want a picture? Sure. Let's gather up for a picture. We are going to start our presentation from the Special Education Advisory Council, get their annual report. So I welcome Dr. Lena Kisner, and Chair of the SEAC, and Bert Moore before us. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. Good morning. And
Good
thank you
morning.
all for joining us for breakfast this morning.
Thank you.
And
That was wonderful. by
really
the way.
apologize about the size of the coffee cups. We'll see what we can do. Talk to the caterer. uh-huh. It is a minor problem. Yeah. Well, and some of your cups don't look any bigger. So, yeah. All right. Well, we don't have a presentation slides, but you should have received our annual report. I am not going to read that to you nor go page by page through that, but there's just a few things I wanted to highlight in the annual report and then talk a little bit about what's coming up for SEAC. And so page 12, I would just call your attention to some of the council accomplishments for this past year. And the things I want to highlight, Kansas has met requirements on the State Performance Plan Annual Performance Report in special education for 15 years. And SEAC oversees that. We get reports on that every year. And so I think that's just a testament to the work of our districts as well as to our State Department and SETS team. So that's a big part of what we do is monitoring that SPP APR. And then some other highlights that I will point out would just be continued collaboration with Shane Carter and his team in teacher licensure, looking at programs and how can we help fill those vacancies and make sure that we're getting some qualified teachers in there. We know it's hard to fill those special education positions, and so we always appreciate that collaboration on solutions. And then, of course, we had our OSEP visit in September of 2024 as part of the differentiated monitoring system, and I know we've talked about that before, so I'm not going to go into detail about that. One of the highlights, I think, of last year was the on-site visits to the State School for the Blind and the State School for the Deaf. Those were really great opportunities to see those schools in action, and so we appreciated that opportunity. And then another significant thing I think that we did and reflects some of our just awareness of the changing of public education is we did add a virtual school representative to our council. And so that is not a federally required position, but states are allowed to add some additional positions at the state level. And so we did add that position as a voting member. So those are just some highlights from our 24-25 year. And then I would just point out, if you really want to look more in detail at some of the things that we've been doing, on page 14, you'll see the summary of activities by priority area. And so those are the priority areas set forth by the federal priority areas. And so we try to keep our activities aligned to those. And so I would just encourage you to look through those at your convenience. And then as we look forward into the next year, some things that we've been doing this current year would be we updated our bylaws, made some adjustments to the vision and mission of the state board based on some feedback from Commissioner Watson and the board. So we're glad to have that updated information. And then actually just yesterday, we had a wonderful presentation by the TASN Autism Tertiary Behavior Support Team. And so they talked a lot about ABA therapy and the ABA principles and how they are supporting all of our public schools with that, as well as other parts of the project as far as students with complex needs and coaching that they're able to do. And so just really, I think, help the council see how they are increasing capacity in our public schools to work with students with varying needs. And so that was a really helpful presentation. We're continuing to have an interest in virtual schools and how special education students receive services in those settings. And so we did just have a report this morning looking over the past 5-6 years at the number of IEPs that have increased in virtual schools, the number of virtual schools that have increased, the types of services students are getting and those kind of things. So we're continuing to monitor that, as we know that that's an area that's growing really rapidly. We are continuing our communication with the State Interagency Coordinating Council. That's the early childhood counterpart of SEAC, working on birth to 5. And in fact, we have a joint meeting with them today, this afternoon, and we're continuing just to collaborate on that C2B transition, making sure those are smooth services for our families. And then we had to develop a new cut score for the indicator 4 because of a different methodology for indicator 4, which is the suspension and expulsion rate of students with disabilities. So we approved that already this year. And then today we are also meeting with Frank Henderson to talk about the commissioner search and give some input on the special education perspective there. So those are just some things that are happening this year. We have another meeting coming up in April, and then that'll really wrap us up because our new year starts in June. So I would be happy to stand for any questions, and Bert Moore is here joining us as the state director and is happy to answer anything I can't.
Can you expound for the board just a little bit about the conversation around virtual school and special education services? Because I think for them that they're going to start to get more phone calls around that, and just what the early discussions are, as I know that's a challenge for parents, it's a challenge for schools, it's a challenge for everyone to figure out.
Yeah, sure. And, virtual it's been a personal challenge for me as, one of my districts started a virtual school post-COVID. And so we got to, really experience this firsthand, what that's like. And so what students with IEPs, a virtual school operated by the district is just another school. It's the same as a brick and mortar. You can't say, oh, you have a disability, you can't be here. So that would be a discriminatory practice. So students with IEPs are able to enroll in virtual schools. The services for students can vary in a virtual school setting. You can have consult services, you can have direct services, you can offer students to come in person. You can't require it because they're in a virtual setting, but if they live locally and they're willing to do it, and everybody thinks that's a great idea, that's an option. So services, direct services, and actually just did a presentation with my virtual teacher the other day for Kelly about this. We provide direct services in a virtual school setting, and she has her PowerPoint slides, and we have document cameras, and we're able to provide that direct instruction to students. A lot of times that is going to look like a one-on-one or a very small group in a virtual setting, but that teacher's logging in and that student's logging in real time. So there are some opportunities where maybe you could record some sessions and things like that, and then students could access that later. But on the special ed side of things, what we typically do is live with the student so that we can be providing that direct instruction. We use curriculum. In fact, we're using UFly, a literacy curriculum that we use in the buildings as well. And we do assessments and monitor their progress towards their goals, as well as, a fast bridge assessment or a QPS or a PAST or whatever may be needed for that student. So I think there has been a lot of challenge with the explosion of virtual, and it kind of hit us a little bit faster. But it's really important to note it is not what we experienced during COVID. It doesn't look like that at all. And we have had great success with some of our students in a virtual setting. Not all of them, but we also don't have great success with all students in a brick and mortar setting either. So I think the services that kids have been getting have been really good. And in fact, I've got a school psychologist who provides social emotional services virtually, and I was able to sit in on one of those sessions, and it was just phenomenal. She had some avatars that they were using and talking and really problem solving some difficult social situations. And so, we can even meet social emotional needs in a virtual setting as well.
Thank you. I do not see any questions on the board, so thank you so much. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for
Good to
your
see
time.
And thank you again for breakfast. That was really good.
Thanks for breakfast.
Yeah, it was great to be able to sit and chat. Okay, next on our agenda we have an update on citizenship kickoff events for America's 250th anniversary. Mr. McAllister, thank you, sir. It should be.
Blue is on?
Yes.
Very good. Good morning, Madam Chair, board members, Commissioner Watson. I am happy to be with you today as we talk about the 250th, which is this year.
So crazy.
So everything is coming together, and we're going to talk about words, the connections, how our teachers are going to play a role in this, and then I thought it was interesting as I was building this, how assessments come into play in all of this. So we'll get moving. I think I've got there we go. So as we talk about the Declaration of Independence and the 250th, we're not only going to take a look at just the basics of the Declaration and honor the 250th and what happened around that event, but also the words that were written and why they were written. So, for example, this is just a few of the pieces out of the Declaration. The quartering of large bodies of armed troops among us, that's a direct connection to the Constitution. That's in the Bill of Rights. That's enshrined that you have a right not to have soldiers in your house. That the military is overseen by a civil authority, also enshrined in the Constitution. That taxes without consent. We've all heard these things. These are all taken from the Declaration of Independence, then enshrined into governmental documents and influenced later on. Trial by jury, again, in the Constitution. So not only why things were written at the time they were written, but why they were written and how they were written in the context behind all of that. So we're going to be looking at the Declaration and its importance. Now, one of the things that keeps coming up is we're in Kansas. I think we all know that. What do we have to do with the 250th and the Declaration of Independence? I mean, we're not on the East Coast. We're not in Boston. We're not in Virginia, Philadelphia, wherever. But there are strong Kansas connections with the Declaration of Independence. For example, in our own Bill of Rights in the state of Kansas, it reads, all men are possessed of equal and inalienable natural rights, among which are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That is a direct line to the Declaration of Independence. It can't get more clear than that. If you're thinking about Kansas history and the fight against slavery, that too is a connection to the Declaration of Independence. Or the suffrage movement and the populist movement and the secret ballot. All of these are connected to the Declaration of Independence. And of course, the landmark Supreme Court case, Brown v. Board, all connected to those sentiments, those elements within the Declaration of Independence. So Kansas has those roles to play within this 250th. Every state does. And we have our role to play as well. So who's going to be leading this? The Kansas teachers are. And not just the ones you've met, but teachers from across the state. And I had the opportunity yesterday to meet a very, very innovative teacher out in Syracuse, your neck of the woods. Fourth grade teacher who has developed an innovative fourth grade civics lesson whereby her fourth graders are voting and learning civics at a fourth grade level in Syracuse. And she does this with her librarian in the school, and they do this every year.
Syracuse has got it going on.
Yeah,
I'm telling
Syracuse,
you, I've been there. They really got it going on out there.
Katrina is doing amazing things out in Syracuse. Or Blanche Wolfketter out at Jeff West is doing amazing things with civics and the 250th. Kim Wayhouse, who you're going to meet next month, has some incredible AI Declaration of Independence lessons to get kids engaged. And just as an update, I know we talked about the whole civics competition that's going on nationwide. Laura McFerrin down in Derby, I don't know whose district that is. There we go, Derby. Laura McFerrin has led the way, and Kansas now is leading the nation in that civics challenge. We have surpassed New York. As Kansas goes, so goes the nation. So teachers will be leading this effort. So as we look back at the Declaration, I was thinking about this whole idea, and we talk about formative assessments, we talk about summative assessments, we talk about the American experiment, and I was looking at the words and the idea of where the power comes from in our nation, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. And I was thinking about the words from Abraham Lincoln in 1863, because he wasn't putting it in these terms, formative and summative assessments. I mean, that's not why he was there. But at Gettysburg, he was asking that very thing. Is this a formative or summative moment? And it is very much, in his words, a formative. We're here to take a pulse of what's going on and see how we're doing. And this year is no different. We're going to take a look back at the Declaration, examine the words, examine the history, and see how we're doing as a nation. And the kids are going to go through it, the teachers are going to go through it, and we're going to spend the year doing that. Actually, we've already started. We started last semester, and we're going to continue. So that's where we're at, and that's where we're going to continue. And we're going to make sure that it's a celebration. We're going to learn new lessons, and we're going to make new connections. But teachers will be leading. Kansas will be leading. So I will stand for any questions you have.
I'm
thank
just
you
so
very much.
excited. This is just amazing, and I love all of it, especially that we're leading. Come on, that's so good. Dennis.
Thank you, Nathan. Well, my blood pressure's up.
Yeah, in a good way, right?
I love history, and I think civics is the formative assessment. I like the way you frame that. Mm-hmm. That we're at a point where we have to know who we are, how we got here, and where we're going. And I don't know that we can deliver anything better to the next generation in civics and government by letting them know that, And I'm just so excited about this. When we look at Kansas, there's so much history, so many firsts that came out of Kansas. I mean, we have Amelia Earhart. I would suggest that we have some kind of, I don't know what to call it, where we celebrate Kansas maybe in July, because that's the Independence Month, and we look at Kansas as to what has been accomplished over the last 250 years out of Kansas. Well, we're not that old, but a lot has happened in our history since we became a state. And I had a little conversation with you last year at the KSDE conference, I think it was a year and a half ago already, about what Eisenhower has done for our state, what he set up. We got the interstate, the national interstate system, which has really helped the commerce throughout the whole states. So economically, that was really significant. The thing I didn't know about him was that he was chancellor at Columbia, the teachers' college, between his military and his presidency. And I'm doing what I can to find out what happened with his career. And he wrote a letter to the students of the USA in his first year at Columbia, and then he wrote one to the parents. And I would like
to find the letters.
I think that's something that we should elevate maybe in July as we look, how we as a board can celebrate this and kind of piggyback onto what the teachers are doing. But
yeah, in our 250th, there is a Kansas 250th commission, and a few of our teacher leaders are on that commission as well. Jay Price at Wichita State is on that commission, and A few of the legislators are on that commission, and they're coordinating celebrations throughout the year for Kansas. Yeah, coordinating efforts, I don't think that's a bad thing, and elevating a lot of what Kansas has done.
Yeah.
There are a lot of Kansas firsts, and what we've done and how we've led the nation is
Well, one of them sitting
critically
right back
important.
there. Rayleigh was the first, I think, in our state anyway, of,
The
of
intern?
gaining employment here from his apprenticeship. Is that right? Out of high school? So just things like that. I mean, it's just nice to be reminded, of those things that have happened and happening now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, Daryl?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you so much, Nate, for the great work that you have put into this. I know it just didn't pop up overnight, so I do appreciate that. This is more a personal interest question. Will students be able to schedule trips to Constitution Hall, which is also a first? I know in many schools they'll take the annual third grade trips to the Brown v. Board National Historic Site. Is it possible that might be a trip that could be sponsored somehow for every third, seventh grade student during the year?
As far as, I mean, we can't mandate anything like that, but I do know that Freedom's Frontier, and I know at least in the past, the National Park Service had Bus on Us. Both of those organizations had a Bus on Us where they would assist with field trips. So yeah, it's definitely a possibility, and I think that would be highly encouraged. And as you know, Constitution Hall here in Topeka has a Library of Congress grant to get teachers involved in that new site that is, brand new and open to educators. I think there's going to be a renewed emphasis on many of the historic sites here in Kansas.
Okay, I just wanted to let you know if I can help in any way, I'm happy to help support that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, thank you so much. It's so
Thank
great
you.
to hear. This is just awesome.
So I want to speak for all social studies teachers in the state and the nation, because Jim, you talked about, there's this perception schools aren't doing well. Well, there's also this perception that, social studies teachers, we must just all be coaches or something. And so it does me, look at one of the best teachers in the state of Kansas that works for us right now, and you just get a glimpse of, wow, how engaging the history and the civics and social studies can be. And so thanks to you and all the teachers that are putting this work on.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Okay, up next on our agenda, we're going to have an action item on the professional development regulation. Dr. Renee Nugent, thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair and Board. I'm excited to be here on two topics today. I'm going to start off with our reg review and an action item specific to professional development plans. As you know, we brought this forth last time, so I'll just do a quick overview. Our current policy does require every district to design, submit, and maintain a formal PD plan. By no means are we saying PD plans are not important or essential. What we are saying is, as part of your board goal, we're looking to reduce the burdens on some districts, and through our accreditation and school improvement process, professional development plays a vital role. And so instead of asking districts to submit a separate plan separately, a separate plan annually, we are instead saying, can we acknowledge the planning around professional development that is done through our accreditation process and not have double the work for districts? So what we're asking is that we remove the requirement to submit a PD plan for approval and allow districts to plan through their school improvement process around specifically those fundamentals that we believe are highly important. Any questions about our recommendation? It's fast and furious, but pretty to the point.
Yeah. And last month I was pointing out that Hayes luckily their PD plan was full of their KISA plan. So it so works together, and that's what districts are already doing. So we want to just, like you said, lighten the burden so they're not doing it in duplicate or worse. So Betty?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And when I served on the local board, one of the things that was really concerning from a local board perspective was we always felt like there were mandates that were placed on you, but nothing was ever being taken away. And so the question was saying, well, what difference does one sheet of paper make? Well, if you pile that on and you keep piling it on, then you understand the difference that one sheet of paper can make. So I am so pleased to see that we're looking at better use of time and taking away unnecessary steps. And with that being said, Madam Chair, I'm ready to make the motion. Thank you. I move that the Kansas State Board of Education approves eliminating the requirement for districts to submit a separate professional development plan to reduce unnecessary administrative obligations and allow districts to focus resources on the locally driven professional learning activities embedded in their school improvement work.
Okay, do I have a second? Dennis? Any other discussion, comments? Okay, all in favor? Michelle's a yes. 10-0 vote, and that passes. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I did want to say, so I'm not bringing forth a new recommendation for next month, and I wanted to give you just a brief explanation of why. We're going to really start focusing on the regs around licensure, and those are vast. And so we're working with Shane, and he's sitting behind me, and Peyton and Jake and I are all looking at how best to attack that process, because so many of those regs kind of codepend on additional regs. So we're going to start that process with you in February. Shane will be leading the charge on bringing those in a systemic order, but probably we will get through all of those and then do a mass recommendation for change towards the end of that. So we're expecting several months of bringing different portions of licensure regs your way. Okay?
Wonderful, wonderful.
Thanks.
Great team to work with. Hi, Shane.
Board,
Okay.
you're going to spend, by the end of today and with the kids at lunch, you're going to spend 2 full days in State of the State last night, a lot of time. And you're going to reflect back on the 2 days, and you're going to think, well, you know, what did we do? What did we not get accomplished? And you probably aren't going to remember that 10-0 vote you just took.
Oh, this is...
But that vote right there just relieved every school district of massive amounts of duplicate work. I just want to point out that was a big thing you just did to relieve school districts of duplicate work, and I just want. And sometimes you think, "Wow, we didn't have to struggle," but that did. So thank you for that work.
Absolutely. Okay.
Kathy, thank you.
Yes, Dennis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to. Jim and I are going to be at SDAC tomorrow, and Jim, I'm going to report that. Remind the superintendents, and then I want to listen to their big sigh of relief.
You report it, but I'm going to take credit.
He's going to say, after 12 years, I finally got it done. Or 11 years. Okay, so up next is Dr. Renee Nugent, and we're going to talk about high-quality instructional materials.
High-quality instructional materials. And I think that Nathan gave me the perfect segue to this topic, right? Because we're talking about the 250th anniversary, and some instructional materials, such as the Constitution, are truly timeless and high quality. And I think that what you will see over the course of those celebrations around the 250th anniversary, you're going to see really good examples of teachers who choose some quality lessons and instructional strategies to attack this opportunity and some who don't. And so I think this is a great segue into HQIM. Some of this is going to be a little repetitive, but that's intentional, because last board meeting you had quite a packet of materials just around the first draft or release of our high quality instructional materials data that we collected from districts. And so it was overwhelming. And so I'm going to kind of go back and hit some hard places of this, and then I'm going to just add on a few extra layers. So I'm hoping that this is helpful information. I also want to say that although this really hits the quality school improvement board goal, it does dip into a little bit the alignment part of policy regulation and alignment, because as we look at high quality instructional materials, we can allow systems to focus on student success and put their time and efforts into that versus spending all of their hours searching for things to teach in their classroom that may or may not cut the muster around high quality. Again, the role of instructional materials really plays into high quality instruction. And I also have the opportunity after I present to you to do a little reflection. And a couple of board members brought up things about just like, I'm going to use Michelle as an example. Michelle, you said math is math, right? And what does it matter? And so I kind of wanted to dig into that and give two examples. Yesterday, I was on a Zoom around the NAEP assessment, which we know is the national assessment that every state takes, and people are chosen in districts around our state, but it specifies 4th and 8th grade. And they really talked about math specifically and how they have tailored the expectations of math to be very much real world problem solving and high levels of thinking. And I thought to myself, and someone used this as an example, do you remember your very first bag phone that was a cell phone in your car? Anybody remember those? You didn't have one. So then we kind of went to the flip phone, right? And now we have the world at our fingertips on a device. They all accomplish the same thing. You can make a call. I don't know if you could still make a call on a bag phone, but that was the intent, right? But as that communication device evolved, we adapted. And I think that's the same when we think about textbooks. They continue to evolve, even though a lot of the standards are still the basics of reading, writing, and math. But what we're expected to do with that instruction and those materials does look different and has evolved. So when we think about high quality instructional materials, we're really thinking about some deep engagement with the student learning. Think about that 250th. We could just give a bunch of facts and have kids read the Constitution. We want them to engage with the work, to really be able to dive into what does it mean? How do we apply that meaning to what we're living today? So really getting deep into the thinking and understanding. And of course, making sure that whatever we do is standards aligned. All of quality instruction really leads up to having a standards, having vision, making sure that those materials are matching and appropriate. It doesn't do any good to have the materials if we don't implement at a high level. And then, of course, facilitating that through good instruction. And we know as we're going to be looking at these licensure regs, getting the best teachers to do the implementation is the key to making all of this work. I also just wanted to remind you that last year, the average student, and this was in a study that I presented last time, about 530 hours out of 720 students spent on not grade level appropriate assignments. That means they may have been doing addition and subtraction, which hit a standard, but if they're in 4th grade, doing that on a 2nd grade level, that's not appropriate grade level instruction. And then teachers, of course, spent 7 hours a week developing or selecting instructional materials. So if they're already strapped for time and overwhelmed with grading, and then we're asking them to find resources that really may or may not be aligned. And we know that the more aligned our materials are to standards, the better chances students have to gain academic success. Here were 3 examples, as I shared last time, of different websites that teachers often frequent. Again, they're doing this not out of being lazy, right? They just want to find things that they think will be engaging. And so often they look to Teachers Pay Teachers, Read, Write, Think, Share My Lesson, and very rarely does that meet an exceptional level of instructional materials. When students start the year below grade level, but they have access to better assignments, they make 7.3 more months of academic progress than those peers with less access. If we can take that burden off of teachers and provide those materials at a high level, then we are helping students achieve at much higher rates. We talked a little bit about leveraging third-party information. Again, there are pros and cons to third-party information, but when you consider that the average person, just through EdReports alone, that process reflects over 100 hours per series of reviewing a series. So when we're going to do any kind of an adoption and we give teachers, here you go, what would you like to choose? And someone has already taken the time to put hours and hours and hours of work into vetting those materials. Again, we're saving districts time and allowing that time then to be in how do we best implement the resources. I just want to touch on that EdReports really looks at 3 gateways, and we want to ensure that all 3 gateways are strongly appropriate with EdReports. With that said, our current instructional materials selection guide already references that we have to be aligned to the standards. They have to be, all of decisions have to be made at the local level, but Kansas State Department of Ed can support districts in how they make those decisions, and then also support them in helping them, once that decision is made, to align their materials and pace those materials and so forth. We don't want districts just to see on EdReports, this is green, so it must be good. EdReports is just the first step to take some of that timing away and help identify strengths and gaps, but then the local districts have to dive in. And I always use this example, what might be best for Dodge City may not be best for Derby. Very similar sized, very different needs. So they have to dive even deeper into these resources to say, does this meet needs of ELL learners different than it does special education learners or gifted learners? Remember when we asked all districts to submit to us what they were using? We asked for their Tier 1 instructional materials. We did ask when they would next be selecting instructional materials. We wanted to know about their screening information and what they were using. And then, of course, we can't forget pre-K. We know that birth to 8 is critical when it comes to reading success. And 95% of Kansas districts, public districts, and 68% of private accredited schools did respond to our request. And last board meeting, I gave you the preliminary draft of this instructional materials data collection report, and it included kind of the top 10 selection materials for each content area and each grade band, and that was ELA, math, and science. What we found was when our districts choose actual materials and they make the selection, they're doing a pretty good job of selecting those that are highly rated. In fact, science, as you will see, is our least, but that's a whole different topic for a board report, so I will go down that. But when you look at ELA and math, we're choosing a lot of good materials. Where we are struggling a little bit is on that not rated column of this chart. So when we're selecting materials from a publishing company, you can see that for the most part, we have meets expectations or partially meets expectations. We're choosing good things. But we're also using a lot of materials that are not rated. And while some may be good, we probably need to create a mechanism for evaluating those materials to ensure their quality. Some states have really taken on that task, and others have gone on to say, I'm sorry, you really shouldn't use your own because there's already a mechanism to have these materials vetted. I believe that there's probably a sweet spot there, and that's something that Kansas will have to explore. I'm going to give you some examples. So I think that Deborah passed down a couple of samples. Michelle, I'm so sorry. I will email this to you so you have it post this meeting to look through. But the first page that is on your handout is an example of what would be considered a high quality instructional material. And the back page was taken from Teachers Pay Teachers. They allegedly cover the same standard, but if you look at the first page, which is about Romeo and Juliet, they're taking the standard and actually using 3 separate standards, which is really good when you can embed multiple standards into an assignment. And they're looking at those standards and making them apply to a reading passage, in this case, Romeo and Juliet. The second page, again, similar standard, but in this case, all they're saying is, tell us if this text is, what kind of irony is in this text, and it's not related to a specific text sample. I'll just give you time to look at this and see if you can identify maybe what makes the first page a little higher quality than the second page. So I will share that I am an Old English teacher by nature, and I think when you think of read, writing, listening, and speaking skills, one skill that is just very important, a life skill that's important, right, is to not just be able to identify a character, but really get an understanding of how that character thinks, speaks, and writes, right? All 10 of you are quite different people on this board. And a good commissioner, as Dr. Watson is, wants to understand each of you, how you act independently and interdependently as a group. So that first assignment really is saying, what does this character think? What does the audience know about this character? And then how does that information change the dynamic of what happens in Romeo and Juliet? So you're applying some skills about character development, but ultimately these can translate to some very real world learning. The second page is simply identifying what type of irony this is. It's important to know that, but there's not really application or engagement or relationships with any type of reading. Do you see the difference in those two assignments? We're going to turn to the math sample here. You will not be able to read those three things. I'm sorry. I'm just going to walk you through those. But essentially, both sides, side 1 and 2, are converse. So side 1 is looking at standard 4OA1, and that is you're looking at an equation and you're going to be able to make some comparisons with that equation. And it's really about place value and how you can represent place value. The third sample that you can't read, the question says, Jane saved $800. Her sister has 10 times more money. How much more money does her sister have than Jane? So it's some application. When I think about math and real world application, I like to give this example. My husband and I decided to build an outdoor kitchen last year. So I think that when we think of math, it's you can just give problems and learn how to do the problems. Our situation was truly a word problem. We have this much space to work with. We need to figure cost, amount of materials, types of materials, have an understanding if our deck can even support an outdoor kitchen, which it couldn't. So that created a whole other fundamental. So when you look at the page that has the word problem attached to it versus the next page, which is similar, finding sums and products, very important, but no context to that work. And I even liked at the bottom of this page, it says, hint, the answer in addition is called the sum, and the answer in multiplication is called the product. So we took that 4th grade standard, and instead of getting engagement with the students and asking them, teaching them vocabulary around sum, product, multiplication, we just gave them that we fed them that information. This might be considered fluency, but let's look at the next page, which is using a high quality instructional material. This is Eureka Math, which does fluency exercises every day. This is 4 minutes of fluency, so you're not spending an entire class period on fluency, but every day you're engaging in fluency skills. And with place value, we have, this is what the teacher would directly instruct. This is what we would expect or guide the student to do. Then the teacher would say, draw to correct student misunderstanding, say this number in unit form. And the student would say 5 tens. And the teacher would say the number in standard form. And the student would say 50. So there's some direct instruction, some practice together, and then a fluency activity. How many of these problems can you do in 4 minutes? So we understand the importance of fluency, but we're not going to spend every day, all day on isolated problems. We're going to tackle the problem and then get into some real world word problems and application to using tens and place values. You're starting to see the difference between quality instruction versus just finding a material and using it in isolation. I wanted to provide some examples because I think that was asked at the last meeting. So we'll keep going, but this is, you can just use this for reference and food for thought. I'm just putting, that's my new little bit to add to your plate this time. So when we asked for that guidance for instructional materials, a lot of districts are wanting to know, what are districts like me using, especially those districts that are doing well? How and who can I collaborate with if we do have similar materials? If I'm Dodge City, I want to find other districts like me that maybe we can share resources. Potentially, if I'm Dodge City and I'm Garden City and I'm liberal, think of how we could, from an economic standpoint, utilize a textbook company to all order at the same time and get some better pricing, and then combine our resources. For Kansas State Department of Ed, can we adopt our professional learning to align what districts are choosing? Can we support implementation better if districts are using some similar or really high quality materials? And then are there districts that need more support that now we can hone in on? Are there districts not choosing high quality materials that we can begin to signal this could be your first step in getting student outcomes to improve? So we're hoping early in a couple of weeks, we're going to really start sharing this with our curriculum leaders, our superintendents. We're hoping to get this on our website as an authenticated app. And then in year one, we'll grant access to our KSDE staff, superintendents, curriculum directors. Annually, we'll try to update the page with the goal to incorporate data collection and other annual processes. So this is not one more thing we're adding to districts' plates. It's what are you using? What did you adopt? As you adopt something, you could just update it, and we'll be storing this on our servers. This is what it would be a sample of. All of the blue things, and this is just a sample of, would be those districts who have reported data. And then if there was not any data reported, that would be known, and then you could just click on an area that you're wanting to find information. The material would give information. You could filter the material to say, what's the most widely used ELA curriculum, or what is the least used in math, and start to sort your process and your thinking accordingly. And then authenticated users will be able to see details on instructional materials, including a map and a list of districts that reported selecting it. So you can really dive down and say, hey, who's using Open Science Ed? And was it rated? And it will give you that information. I think we're on the right track with instructional materials. I think it's going to give us insight and help us as an agency better support districts in a very systemic way. We can get service centers on board to support districts. We can support districts, and hopefully even other partners.
And Renee, wouldn't it help in the because our service centers, along with I'm sure others, because they can use who they choose, doing more and more coaching, right?
Right.
So if they already know what the curriculum is, and probably can help align some of that coaching piece to assist. That's my guess. Anyway.
Correct. So through the school improvement process, we're really taking a deep dive into all the supports that we provide and that our partners provide. And then kind of like the board is doing, are we duplicating efforts?
Right.
Is there something we're not supporting that we should be? Is there something that we're supporting that really isn't even aligned to a fundamental? And are we maybe going too wide in our support versus deep? And then how can we make this systemic? So do we need someone who really is just providing all tier 1 supports? And then do we need to provide some more specific supports regionally, either through service centers or through some, big picture, my dream, maybe some regional coaching teams that really look at supporting literacy and math specifically across the state.
And the tier 1 is so important. We've talked so much over the years, I think, about interventions, and the clear thing, pun on words, not necessarily meant to be, but Clearwater, when they were before us with the kindergarten, when they said they had to step back and look at their tier 1 instruction and realize this is really where part of the problem is.
Right. If all of your efforts are going into tier 2 and tier 3, because there are so many students that you're trying to serve, then you have to take a hard look at tier 1 and try to get that pyramid back to where right-sided pyramid, so that way the majority of your students are not in tier 2 and tier 3. We should be supporting fewer in those areas. Based on our assessment results, we're at an upside down. And when we recognize that, we have to do better, and it starts with Tier 1.
Yes. Yes. Debbie?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Okay, so I had written the question down from a much earlier slide.
Sure.
But for background, and just so we're all on the same page, a Kansas Board of Regent member had pulled the numbers from the KSDE website and gave me a % of kids who are graduating functionally and fully illiterate. And I wanted to make sure we're working on the same numbers. So do you know what % of our kids are graduating either functionally or fully illiterate?
I'll take that on.
Okay.
First of all, there's no definition of functionally illiterate.
Okay.
It's a new term that's now being used. I would use the term, just like we do in the state assessments, kids have limited knowledge. That would be level 1, Debbie. Okay. So, because that's an accurate description, they have limited. We can't say, because if I use the word illiterate, I can ask all 10 of you, and you're going to give me a little bit different definition of what that means. For me, it means I can't read hardly anything on that page. That's not true of most level 1. So I would use the word that we have about a third of our kids who are level 1, that those are limited skills within that content area to allow them to be successful. And I think that's an accurate description.
I can give you a practical example, because a young gal who's helping take care of my aunt, I just off the cuff kind of said, oh, she loves this book. Would you be able to read this book to her? And you could just tell she felt awkward. And she said that she stopped keeping up in 3rd grade. So she didn't feel comfortable doing that. And what I saw, like way on one of your earlier slides, and you were talking about how much % of classroom time is spent on not the proper grade level. And I'm like, well, maybe that is actually the proper grade level for that child mentally. And because one of the big things that I get distressed seeing is that we progress kids because they got an extra birthday, candle on their birthday cake, not because mentally they were prepared to move on. So they might be in the 4th grade, but really only a 2nd grade reader. And they need to be taking 2nd grade reading level school in order to progress. Because if you just stick them right into 4th, it's like throw them in the deep end.
So I'm going to push back a little bit there, Debbie,
Okay.
and that is, so if they're in 4th grade and we're only teaching them at 2nd grade level, we're never going to get them to move to 4th grade. So we teach them in the core in Tier 1 at grade level, and our interventions are providing that some of those skills at the 2nd grade level till they master those skills and then progress up. But the exposure to grade level instruction is what they need to at least have an understanding of what it is they need to be learning and doing at that grade level. Now, the hope is, and the goal is, that with structured literacy and our movement towards that, we're going to start having less or fewer students that aren't where they need to be in 3rd grade, because we're going to be using the right instructional strategies, have access to better materials in that pre-K, K1, 2 setting. And so we have fewer kids in level 1 by the time they're in 3rd and 4th grade.
Well, I can tell you, public education failed her, and if I had homeschooled her, she would have been reading. I can guarantee that. I had 7 out of 7 read. So I think I'll push back on that. I don't think I agree with that. So then I guess the question becomes, at what level are they considered then literate?
So I'll answer that. First, I'm going to say this. You can have your opinion that you don't agree. What Renee is telling you is what research would say has to happen in order to move that kid. That the minute we have instruction below that grade level, that kid never catches up, Debbie.
I don't agree.
Well, I know you don't agree.
That's okay, but
you don't have to agree. But what you have to acknowledge, I can have my opinion on that, but that's what the research says has to be done. When a teacher then goes and teaches below grade level, because we think that's the right thing to do with kids, they never get the opportunity to catch up. They remain behind all the time. So that's why we have to raise those expectations.
And I might just add, too, that when we're doing direct instruction and we teach below grade level and there might be 1 or 2 students who are struggling, we've now lowered the standard for the other 25 in the room. So that's why that intervention is appropriate for the lower
Unless you
grade
just
level
put them with their own
instruction.
grade level. I just want to know, but how many kids, so at what level are they considered illiterate? So I can just, the question I'm really getting to is how many kids are we graduating not able to read?
That's not germane to what we're talking about at this moment, and I think you could get that information outside of this moment.
Well, I did get that information. I got 87% from somebody. I just want to know that we're having the same number.
What I can answer is that on the state assessment, a level 3 and a level 4 is considered proficient.
Okay, 3 and 4.
Melanie.
So how many graduate 1 and 2?
Well, they take that test in 10th grade, but I don't know off the top of my head what our numbers are. I can look. I can get that to you.
All right.
Melanie?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm actually going to defer to Dennis because I think we're talking about different things. So if you want to go next, and then I'll go after you.
Thank you. Dr. Nugent, the non-rated materials, how do they become rated?
Right. So if they're getting them from a source that's not a company that has gone through the process. So if you're a curriculum company and you want to be rated, you submit those materials to Ed Reports, and there's a process for that. Things like teachers pay teachers, those are not rated materials. Those are typically things that teachers have developed and sell. And so those aren't rated. They're not from a specific company.
Okay. So there's like just one clearinghouse or one group that has been recognized as the standard.
Yeah, there's approximately 3 to 4. Ed Reports is the most common. I think that one slide showed about 37 states utilize Ed Reports primarily, but there are a few others as well that have pretty high standards, one specific to reading, and then another one coming up as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm really interested in that process and how that happens, and because I know there's really top quality stuff out there probably that isn't rated.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, most, and I think I shared this at the last board meeting, most companies now know the importance of getting rated, and they are working to get through any process that gets them recognized.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, Melanie, but would that partially be because they're recognizing their customer base is learning how to vet and needing that information? So we've flipped the script on them a little bit, maybe.
Yeah, and if you look at the states that are starting to make the biggest academic gains, they have done a very specific push for high quality instructional materials, and they utilize these systems, and now these platforms have recognized if I want to even be considered as high quality instruction, I've got to be vetted through a third party process.
And I would assume on an ELA level, they're all making sure that structured literacy is a piece of that.
Correct.
Okay. Melanie, thank you.
See, this timing worked out. Thank you, Madam Chair. Because I just wanted to say thank you for this presentation. I think that this is some of the most actionable advice that this board has seen. I'm sure that the districts appreciate it, but I love that you're starting with evaluate the materials you're using, acquire the HQIM, and we're getting better at understanding what HQIM looks like. I think I said last month, I made a comment about teachers pay teachers. And sometimes it's easier to point and say, I can recognize what's not HQIM. So love the app. I just want to say thank you so much. This is fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, Michelle.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Dr. Nugent. And thanks for emailing me. When I receive that from you and have time to look that over, because I had some questions today, but I want to, be able to respond to you and ask some questions to follow up on this, because I want to make sure, like, we're talking about high quality instruction and we're talking about people being vetted. We use words like policy levers and gateways and things like that. I just want to make sure, because, we've as Lori Curtis talked about yesterday, we had used balanced literacy for so long. We had learned sight words learning for so long. And there were teachers that went rogue and knew that that wasn't the way to go and kept doing what they knew was best for their students, which would be phonics and things like that as far as teaching. So when we're talking about the curriculum and maybe we're vetting that because we know our standards are federally aligned, I want to make sure, like, now we've known that the food pyramid is now flipped. We've known that for a long time, but it just kept getting taught the wrong way. So things like that, I just want to be careful. Because we're going to have people that are going to push back on some things because they know that what works for their students in their classroom in that particular state, in that particular town, that may not align federally with what's going on nationally. So I just want to make sure that isn't what I was going to email you. I have some other questions related to what you're going to be sending me, but I just wanted to put that out there because we go along and say, this is right, everybody should be doing this, and then we find out after long-term studies and research, it's wrong, or it's not the way it should be. So according to like sight words, pyramids, things like that. So I just want to make sure when we talk about math and we talk about real world experience, we also want to allow those local districts and those teachers that are qualified in that classroom to be able to do what's best for their students that are in front of them. So thank you for that. I just wanted to put that out there.
Michelle, I couldn't agree more on pretty much everything you said there. And I just want to say what I'm hoping we can do is those teachers then now have some time really to focus on the things that they can make the biggest differences is being in front of their kids and not worrying all the time about what they're selecting. And you're exactly right, Michelle. I think in education, we are so known for extremism, right? We're all on board with balanced literacy, and then we flip all to structured literacy. And the commissioner and I were just having this conversation the other day. The way I learned math, I was great at the way I learned math, and there were some people in my class that weren't, and there was only one way to learn it. And I don't want to flip it to now there's only one way to learn it, and it's not the way I learned it. We have to have a balance of what works best for kids and identify what those needs are. And then we also have to balance that with we're overseeing 26 kids in a room. And so when one or two students is really struggling, how do we help them? Who do we bring in to support them so we can continue, with that quality instruction? So you're exactly right. We cannot just abandon what is working. But we also have to recognize when something isn't working, and we get called out on that pretty frequently on where we are academically in the state. So something is not working, and we're going to have to address that. And I believe that it starts with Tier 1 instruction.
Yes, getting real literacy, which we have been working on. And it takes time to get it fully with 280 some districts plus private. Yes.
So in the past couple of days, again, Renee's presented to you, Ori Curtis presented to you, Nate presented to you, just as an example. Those are three master teachers with lots of experience. Now, I want you to think about what is the biggest challenge in 2026? Shortage of teachers and inexperienced teachers, right? Administrators too. So I'm going to come back to this great example that Renee gave you. Did you find this hard to look at and say, what is a good? Because you're not an experienced teacher in English language arts and mathematics. Beginning teachers go through the same thing. That's why they don't do it intentionally. And good then resources can help until you get to be Nate McAllister.
Yeah.
Once Nate gets at that level, just give me the Constitution and I'm going. Mm-hmm. But that took decades for Nate to get there. And that's where good instructional materials can say, if I follow that until I completely understand how the standards and the alignment and I can get trained, then I can start to move and make the nuance that really moves that. And so that's what's happened over time, is that no teachers wanted to lower the expectations. We've just done it unintentionally, which then has the effect of not teaching what you all would call third grade level material.
Debbie.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I had a second question. It was towards the end of your slides then. And that was when you had the curriculum measurements that you're putting on the KSDE website for year one, and you said it was KSDE staff and superintendents and stuff like that that had access. I was wondering if that would be beneficial for the parents and all of them to also have access, because I would assume it's open record anyway, that they would be able to say, what is my district using? I don't have to go and try to track it down. I can just find it right there on the website. I can see how it's graded compared to other curriculums and review it myself. All those kinds of things that parent might want to do.
Yep, we definitely want to get there. So we're starting off more limited so we can work out the kinks. You know, what are we missing on this data that we should be adding? What are things that just aren't beneficial? So yes, we want to get there, Debbie. My dream is to have some sort of a dashboard specific to everything school improvement related for all communities and families to see. We're just not there yet. I think we're out, but yes, I want this to be used not as a gotcha. I want it to be used as, is what we're doing high quality? Is it working? Who else is using it? How can we become more efficient in our resources? And how can we really ensure quality access for kids? So until we get it really to where our superintendents, curriculum leaders, our partners understand the tool, then absolutely I want to make it for everyone.
Yeah. In the gotcha comment, that's the whole point of the parents being able to say, hey, no good, right? And that's what you want. You want to hear that so that you can say, well, we'll bring it before the board, and the board says the majority want it. So, you know, but those negative things aren't necessarily bad.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Renee. Michelle, I wondered if I could ask you a question on something you said. You used the words a couple of times, federally aligned, and I guess I didn't understand what you were talking about, because our curriculum isn't federally aligned, correct?
Well, it has to be with ESA. I mean, it has to.
So there is an element there as far as standards?
There's an element, yeah. Yeah, there's an element there of our based off federal ESA.
Yes.
Yeah.
I guess I didn't think about it like that, so thank you. It'll help me.
Yeah, we're identified federally through ESEA and titled services on how we're performing. So we're reporting our performance, and also then if you look at the NAEP test, that's it uses common standards.
Okay.
It's often kind of the scope and sequence of our standards aren't always exact, and Kansas definitely has its own distinct flair to the standards, but they're pretty typical of standards across the nation.
Okay. I just needed to get that.
So Kathy, just a quick follow-up on that. If you were to read the ELA standards and social studies standards, if you read through every single, through K through 12, and all those, if you read through that, like I did when I went through and then I didn't approve the standards, but because I read through all those, I don't agree with a lot of those standards in there because they are federally aligned, and some of the stuff that they would, if someone were to go and pull that and say, oh, I need to teach to this standard, I would, as a parent, I would hesitate on some of those standards that are written into our Kansas standards. Okay. And I can pull out, if we need to in the future, pull out some very specifics on that, and we can talk about it at a future time.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Sometimes I forget about that piece of it because we always talk about our state standards, and so yeah, there's the feds. That's right. Okay, so thank you. Yep. Okay. I think we are behind. Just a little. Okay, we're going to take a quick break and come back and finish up, and then we have lunch at 12:15. Okay, we are back from our break. We are going to finish up before our lunch. Do we have any committee reports? Anybody been doing anything over the, I guess we've had holidays, there probably hasn't been a whole lot of much going on for anybody. Okay, nobody? Dennis?
I just want to report, this was kind of the fourth quarter progress report from Ag in the Classroom. They're a nonprofit out of K-State, and really big into education about food in the classroom, and so they're doing some good work. They've two teachers identified, featured 12 teachers, and kits that are going out to 809 new teachers. So they're really getting information out. And in partnerships, 74 agribusinesses added to their kind of data bank of their supporters. They put on 20 events in different communities.
Wow.
Oh, this is for 2025. So
Okay.
these are fourth quarter report for the whole year. And they attracted 26 new donors, and the giving was down a little bit, but it's still 75%, so that's good. I think the more people
Nice.
they add, this will be helpful. And then just a report from the opioid and prescription drug committee. There'll be a Zoom tomorrow that I'll be on, but they put out the hot sheet, which comes out quarterly, on things that are on the street and things that families should be aware of, our school administrators, and it kind of goes with lingo about. A lot of times there's street language that is a way of communicating that for illegal drugs and stuff. And the term poppers, that's an old drug, but that was something new to me. And that's kind of coming around. It seems like every generation has to revisit a problem from from 25, 30 years ago. So just
I
some
mean, the
interesting
clothing
information.
is fine, but let's don't do the drugs, right?
Yeah. When we're talking about poppers, we're not talking about party, celebrating.
Yeah.
We're talking about something else that could be deadly.
Okay. Thank you. Melanie?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll be very quick. We had breakfast with the SEAC folks this morning, and I am missing the SEAC meeting because I'm here and I can't be in two places at once, but I wanted to point out that on the table over here, I brought down some flyers from Families Together,
Oh,
and
yes.
really wanted you to know that if you go to familiestogether.org and scroll to the bottom of their front page, on January 24th, they are doing a virtual training of the training that I've talked about before, which is the Education Advocate and Parent Rights Training.
Oh.
It's a really great, if you want to really understand the law around special education and parents' rights, this is a great way to get there. It's a little bit of a time investment, but virtual makes it pretty accessible, and you can kind of pop in, pop out if you need to. So that's all I've got. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Melanie, can I
told a
just
lot of
follow up
families
on
about
that?
them.
Because I know that you get a lot of complaints, issues. One of the projects, though, that we sponsor is our Families Together. That is set up to answer those questions for families. They work
I send people.
specifically with families. And if you can't remember that, just call me, text me. I'll be happy to connect the families to that, because it is a wonderful resource, and it's just that they'll go to the IEP team. I mean, they'll do everything and help you in any way that they can. So,
Yes.
So thank you, Melanie, for doing that.
I have definitely pointed them out to quite a few people, actually, over the course of time, once I learned about them. Nope. Okay. Well, I don't really have much of a chair report. I do want to say, again, Literacy Day is next Tuesday at the Capitol. Please don't ignore the Horizon Award winner email, news release, whatever came out. There will be I think it's a lunchtime banquet.
So we recognize them on February 20th. They are in town at a conference that we call the Keene Conference, which are Horizon. So once you're in the Keene Conference, Kansas Exemplary Educator Network, you're in there forever. So it's Kansas Teachers of the Year, Milken Award winners, and Horizon Award winners.
Okay.
The new ones are recognized at that conference at a banquet. I call it a banquet over lunch on February 20th, and you're all welcome to come and meet their families and meet them, and really it's a nice celebration. School districts have done a remarkable job, Madam Chair. They didn't used to nominate people, and now it's very competitive.
Yeah.
And it's the 32 outstanding teachers in their second year. So I know that they would welcome your presence there. And
Okay.
Danny, thank you for recognizing yours in your area.
Danny's been out a little more than I have. I did some emails, but I found the ones in mine. But we do have that afforded to us. Literacy Day this month on the 20th. Next month is the Horizon Awards. The survey, I believe that is up on the KSDE site, on the HYA site. So, just also publicly saying for anybody who wants to do the survey about the commissioner search that has been built out by HYA, that is accessible to anybody, absolutely anybody. What am I missing? Probably a lot of things later. CARES, yes, thank you. So that invitation that we got yesterday to the CARES, I'm sure we'll be seeing something in our email to give us a little more information if we haven't. I can't think we have. Correct. So it's like a Monday evening, Tuesday morning breakfast. So Monday evening where they're doing their awards for their educators, and then the Tuesday morning breakfast out at the Ramada.
You have to come to the Ramada.
You have to come to the Ramada. Randy's getting a little bit lonely over there. Any other things happening? It's been a busy couple of days for us, for sure. Thank you for coming to the SEAC breakfast. The food was really good. I was like, yay, they really pulled out all the stops for us. That was wonderful. Good conversations. Good to rub elbows with great people working hard. So beyond that, let's do our board travel requests. I think we have in our packet that we need to vote on, correct? So anything? Okay, Jim moves, second. Melanie, all in favor? 10-0. Okay, great. Future agenda requests. Do we have, Betty?
Madam Chair, with the changes that have occurred with the cybersecurity funding, I would like at some point to see how our districts are dealing with that, what kinds of problems that they are foreseeing. I think it's next year. This year the funding was picked up, but next year when the change really goes in, to look at those things that they may be facing to get an idea of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Cybersecurity for our districts.
It can be safe and secure schools.
Right. Is that mixed in already?
So Deborah would be a report within the safe and secure schools, because the grant money flowed through that money.
Right.
And that's the money that no longer is available to schools.
Right. I don't know how much it was. I'm sure it wasn't enough, but because cybersecurity is obviously an ongoing, continuous issue. Oh, Michelle, thank you guys. And Connie, okay.
Oh, thank you, Madam Chair. Dr. Watson, is this something that maybe you could bring forward as far as, I think it was last month, maybe Jay talked about it during his, when we were talking about KISA and strategies for the specialized schools. We were going to talk about maybe reevaluating how we approach those with KISA, as far as like, I don't know how they were going to look at that as far as licensure, or if they were looking at it as assessment wise, or he just touched on it real briefly, but they talked about how we were going to maybe look at those a little bit differently than we do the USD schools. So like Lake Mary, School for the Blind,
Right.
School for the Deaf.
I'd be happy to do that, Michelle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know who. I was going to bring it up even today with the special ed report. I didn't know who's all going to be involved in that and looking at that. So and how long that would even take, or who's going to be a part of that.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. Thank you. We'll put that together for you.
Thanks.
Yeah, my question is, can we get a report on cursive writing? Because I have two grandsons, and one's in the Navy. So I wrote him a note in cursive, and he didn't know cursive. So I'm wanting to know, and my other grandson, his brother, doesn't know cursive. So I'm wanting to know, is there, are we reintroducing cursive writing into the schools? Is it something that's just, you do it on your own or learn it? I would like to have a report on cursive writing.
Okay,
Thank you.
absolutely. So what is and isn't happening within the districts? Okay. I know it was put back into the higher ed teacher prep standards, because I remember when we approved those and I picked up on that. So it's definitely, from what I've caught, hit or miss. So we need to make sure we're unfolding that pulley
Yeah,
back
especially
in.
if you're going to have them start reading the Declaration of Independence.
Right.
And some of that. That was all cursive.
It
Even
was.
Eisenhower's writings are all cursive.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
just throwing that out
It's
there.
beautiful, and it's actually a bit of an art. I remember talking to those teachers and all that were involved in those prep standards out in the hallway right after we did that, and they really relate it to a form of art, and it having that same impression on our brains. That's somebody who's autistic. It's an art form, so it's very brain responsive. Debbie?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Dr. Watson, you might know this, is that Safe and Secure Schools, isn't that where we would also revisit the persistently dangerous school definition that we were going to follow up on?
We can do that, Debbie.
All right, because I thought we had that was going to be 2 agenda items. First, to receive that presentation on it, and then we were going to revisit the definition, because our definition was,
I think
I know the ESEA group did look at that. So yes,
Right.
they're a little bit different,
Like in
but
September.
they're similar related, Debbie.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. So before we head over here pretty quickly, do we have some comments?
Yes. Already, just what we approved the ABA therapy, and already they think they have to let them into the schools. And so we need to I've had that this morning when I was talking to the people there, and they're going to clarify. I hope they're going to do some Zooms and stuff to get them educated, because they don't have to accept.
No.
And so and then based on, I voted for it. I'm sorry I voted for it.
We just voted for the law, Danny.
And so I listened to the State of the State last night, and I'm finding out that, well, I already knew all this, but it just, we have early childhood appointed position that's going to be early childhood, that's going to be the government. Now we have socialism going on, because the government's going to be in charge of our early childhood. Then we have medical stuff that the governor talked about that they want to put in the schools, which is this ABA therapy. That was her speaking last night. And now they're all together on it. So both sides of the aisle are just as bad. And I want to make sure that they understand that now we're becoming a socialist Kansas. That's what I heard last night, and that's what I've seen with the voting. When you have an early childhood cabinet position that is a non-elected personnel that want to be the parents in the schools. And this is generational. It's been going on for generations. And the parents out there now want the schools to be the parents. And we have no accountabilities. I just got to get this off my chest. No accountabilities in the schools anymore. And we have a bunch of board members that want the government telling them what to do. And I'll use the cell phone thing. We did a great job on the task force, a lot of good input and everything. And some schools took it and made some great cell phone policies for their district. But a whole bunch of board members want us to tell them that they have to do this. That's what I call socialism, because they don't have the guts to step up to the pump and make a good policy for their particular school district. I'm talking about local boards.
Yeah.
Yes, I am talking about local board. And that's what I see, because I hear, well, you guys need to make a policy. It's because they don't have the guts to step up to the pump and make it.
it's starting to bother me a little bit. And since I have was on a local board for 16 years, I'm sorry, I'm very frustrated that they want the government telling them what to do. So thank you, Kansas, for going socialist. Thank you for letting me have it.
You're welcome. But to clarify, all we voted on the ABA issue was to tell districts to follow the law, and here's the law, case by case.
But
We
it's
did
already
not-
it's already
I-
getting out of they misconstrued what we did
Well,
already.
they're going to see what they're going to see, but the truth is that is not what we did. Jim?
Dennis and I have already discussed, we're going to be at ASDEC tomorrow. We're going to make sure that, at least for that group of superintendents, is very clear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, so make sure you're
For
talking.
those of you that do turn in at the 12:30, that will be the first thing we talk about on Thursday at 12:30 with the entire state.
Okay. So we will do all we can to message that, but we did not say that. That's not what we were saying. We tried to be very clear, so we will keep clarifying. We said follow the law, which is a case-by-case basis always. So here we go. It's going to happen no matter the issue, so. All right, I believe we are good to go then? Okay. We will adjourn until February meeting on the 10th. Have a wonderful month, people.